bosses around. That's what I always do. So welcome everybody. Finding a job in Canada. I think you're gonna love this and maybe get a lot of perspectives. Kaylee and me, we have different viewpoints, I can imagine. I wouldn't say it's the same everywhere in Canada. Generally it is. Um, but location will dictate how probably you do things. In Newfoundland, it's a little different than probably would be in Vancouver. The weather is certainly different, so I can tell you that. And how getting a job is maybe a little different in Newfoundland than the rest of Canada. It depends on where you live. Population is going to be different. How you network is going to be different. The culture is different. Newfoundland, it's interesting that Canada is such a big country. Where you live, depending on probably the various culture that you live in. My culture is sometimes quite different than other cultures. So just to give you a kind of general overview, maybe there'd be a slight differences on where you live, but generally we can describe and go into what it is to find a job in Canada. So Kaylee and me, you can find us on LinkedIn. So don't be afraid to go over there and join us. I have an extensive experience in employment services. I worked in employment services for 20 years as an employment manager, career counselor, facilitator. Yeah, you name it. I'm currently working for the government of Newfoundland now, helping people with employment services, mostly getting into school. So kind of schooling is my expertise right now, and helping guide them through schooling. Keely, you want to say what your background is?
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Keelan. I am an employment counselor. My official job title is actually career success specialist, but that doesn't mean much to most people. So I just say career counselor or career coach. Currently, I'm actually working for a private career college where I work almost exclusively with career changers who are hoping to enter the tech industry as web developers or data analysts. So I mostly work with people from IT backgrounds. That being said, I have been in the career industry for about 5 years now, and prior to my current job and on the side, I work with people from all different types of industries, but I would consider IT more of my niche specialty area. All right, and like Glenn said, please feel free to join us on LinkedIn. Glenn's going to be doing some of the slides in the intro, so while he's chatting, I will post our LinkedIns in the chat so you can connect with us.
Yeah, so hey, we're Devant. I guess we're specializing in people in school and newcomers in school, mostly international students who work, study, and success in Canada. So we definitely help you with everything you need. Definitely check out the resources at Devant and check out all the workshops that are coming up. But we do a good job. Devant means get in front of, which I love. So it's like getting in front of, doing it before it becomes popular or getting ahead of the game. So that's what we do. We help you get in front of the competition. One of the things I find about newcomers a lot is that they get a lot of great services, especially international students, about finding a job in Canada. A lot of Canadians don't necessarily utilize this, which I find very interesting. But that you are joining it and you are here learning about all the things that other people know, gives you a lot of advantage, I think. So definitely go in. So log in and support portal and jump into all the job search resources that are there. And we're going to go over some of it tonight, which I think that you're going to join and love. So yeah, so you can log in and all that, and you can ask us later how you can do that. Yeah, so before we start, I guess we already start doing it. We're going to record it so we can, put it up later on. So don't be afraid to turn on your mics and your cameras so we can see your face and we can hear you talk and back and forth. You can just mute it now, but later on, definitely we encourage discussion, and it's good because everybody doesn't know what you're going through, and you can offer advice that other people are going through as well. And we always encourage that because, the best thing is to feel that you're not alone in your job search. Yeah, so don't be afraid to ask questions in the chat function. So look at our future workshops that are coming up as well. We have about 2 a month. We have a workshop, and we usually have cafes throughout the month. So definitely check it out. And I think there's more things coming up as well. So check out Devon's homepage and it'll tell you the calendar and what's happening. So definitely we want to see you in a lot of different workshops. Every workshop is different, and every workshop you get to learn something new, I think. So the agenda today, we're going to give you a step-by-step breakdown of hiring process in Canada. And it definitely might be different than where you're from. It's funny, I had an interview today. And I'm going through the hiring process for another position, even though I am a career counselor, I do do interviews as well. So it's always interesting going through it. Um, and I can kind of give you pointers and everything. Kaylee as well can do the same thing. But I think it's good to know about the hiring process in Canada and how it works. Um, Depending on where you go, the process may be different. I had a governmental interview process today, and they're very thorough, and they have to do things in a particular manner. So we're going to discuss job boards in Canada as well, very popular ones. Me and Kaylee, I think we'll be going over that more and more and showing you different things. And these are great pointers. A lot of these things, some people probably don't know about, and will give you advantage for your job search. And maybe I'll throw in something there as well, something I know that nobody else knows. So if I think of anything, I'll throw, oh, do this. Networking Canada as well is also very good. In my interview today, they asked me a question about networking, and one of the things I taught, and there's some things I talked about on how you can network in Canada. And we'll definitely do that in part 3 as well. So yeah, great agenda today, and I'm sure we're gonna have lots of fun. Yeah, so understanding the hiring process in Canada is very good, and so something you should know. So getting to understand the employer, the main goal of the employer is to make money and run a successful organization, of course. When hiring, the goal is to qualified candidates, the more qualified and efficient. It's not going to hire you as a favor to help you usually. I mean, they're thinking about their business first. Um, that may be the case. Sometimes they hire their friend, but usually they're thinking of their business first and hiring. If they're not hiring for that reason, they're going to be in big trouble. So, you are looking for the best candidates in terms of fit. So it's cultural fit as well, and how you do, but you definitely got to have technical skills for the position and experience, so they know that you're coming in. You don't necessarily need to be trained in all areas, even though they will do that. So it's not a killer. It's just in terms of how well you can be trained and easily trained. So yeah, understanding the recruiters, something called technical uh you know acquisitions, and they're finding yeah, so they're trying to get the people they want. Some employers use recruiters to find out and screen the interview and interview open positions within their company. So recruiters, you'll find that the recruiters, sometimes employers hire them on the side and they will find the right candidate. It's probably because they don't have a HR department, or they just want to save money. So they go through the resumes, contact interviews, select the employees for the position, sometimes help with onboarding process for the employer during the organization. So the main goal of the recruiter is to find candidates with the best skills, experience, and personality to fit the job quickly and efficiently. Sometimes you might not like the recruitment process, but you're gonna have to, I think, use all avenues. Recruiters is just one of those things that you're gonna have to enter in. So get to understand the recruiter, very important. So this is the hiring process in Canada. So this is in terms of resume screening. So your resumes should always have the keywords in the job ads, so that you will be picked up if it's screened. So that's very important. So always look at that in terms of having your keywords in your resume, because if it's scanned, you want to be picked up. So the recruiter and I guess the employer gets a short list of resumes. So hopefully you can find out how to use it. All the keyword search indicators in your resume so that you are shortlisted. Very important. So sometimes there's pre-screening. They'll phone you up and they'll ask you questions such as, when would you like to start? Are you still interested in this position? What is your salary range? So one of the things I always say is, if a recruiter's phoning you, don't pick it up right away. Always let them leave a message and phone them back, because you want to be ready. You want to have your resume in front of you and the job that you applied to, because if you start answer a phone call, they'll say, oh, can you take 5 seconds and just answer these few questions? You don't want to be caught off guard. So that's a recommendation when they phone you up. Always phone them back. So they're going to do a background check, make sure everything is right. Make sure what you're saying is true on your resume. So offer of employment, that's when they're going to give you an employment, like offer you, okay, here, we're going to give you the job offer. Here it is. This is the salary range. You accept it. This is where you sign it back and you get the job. And onboarding is when you're at the job. This is what the first thing they always do, I guess, when you get a job is they'll give you your form to do your taxes. So it's all the paperwork with getting a job. You're going to give your SIN number, payroll, all that fun stuff.
Awesome. All right, Glenn, I think that is the end of that section. So I will take it from here. Thank you very much. But feel free to pop in as I'm talking with a little bit
Yeah.
more info. We did have a question in the chat about a little bit more info on the ATS system. I'm not surprised this comes up a lot in almost every workshop that we do. It is something that people have a lot of questions about. Even Canadians have a lot of questions about the applicant tracking system. So the ATS, the applicant tracking system, as Glenn was talking about, the first stage of the typical hiring process in Canada. At this point, the large majority of mid to large size companies use something called an applicant tracking system, typically referred to as just an ATS. And it's essentially a piece of computer software that scans resumes and scans applicants as the applications are coming in. And it's kind of actually like a digital filing cabinet as well. So it scans the resumes, it's picking up keywords just so it brings out the top resumes of the people that it considers to be the top candidates for the position. And then it's only going to send those resumes to human resources. So if you're not passing the ATS, there's actually a chance that a real human isn't setting eyes on your resume, which is why it's so important to go through the job and pick out some keywords that are listed in the job to make sure that the ATS isn't scanning you out. If you have any more questions about ATSs, feel free to let us know in the chat. Like I said, it's a hot topic. It's a topic that a lot of people have a lot of questions about. Even Canadians who have been job searching in Canada their whole life have a lot of questions about the ATS. So don't feel bad if you have a lot of confusion around what it is or what it does or how to get past it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about popular job boards in Canada. But before we start, I want to ask you, in your job search in Canada up until this point, what types of job boards have you been using? I know there's some pretty big popular ones that a lot of you are probably familiar with, but there's also some smaller niche ones. I'm curious which job boards you're often using. Let me know in the chat or unmute. Yes, Indeed, LinkedIn, those are the big ones, LinkedIn. Yeah, absolutely. Monster, Workopolis. Yep,
Yeah.
those are some good ones as well. Perfect. Yeah, y'all know the big ones, which is great. And yeah, you nailed the top two, Indeed, LinkedIn. One that is Canada specific is actually the Canada Job Bank. This I find is typically more smaller companies. I would say there was a point in time where the Canada Job Bank was the go-to job board in Canada. So a lot of smaller or older companies will still post jobs on this. This one is nice because sometimes you can find jobs on Canada Job Bank that aren't being posted other places. I feel that the demographic that uses Canada Job Bank isn't as prone to using LinkedIn or Indeed. So sometimes you can find jobs on there that are exclusive to that website, which means less applicants because less people know about them. So definitely check that one out. Also, in order to get a job advertised on Canada Job Bank, the employer actually has to pay a small fee to get the job up there, which is nice because you don't have to worry about scams or fake jobs or anything. Like they're not going to pay the fee unless they're actually hiring. Workopolis, you got that one. Monster, somebody said. Glassdoor, which is a fabulous site, not just for job boards, but for finding information about companies. Aluda, Job Boom, even just using Google for jobs. If you go on Google and type in project management jobs, for example, Google has its own job board, which pulls from a variety of other job boards, which is kind of nice. Company websites. Some companies don't post on job boards. They don't post on job boards like LinkedIn or Indeed. They only exclusively post on their company website. So if you have a company that you are really, really passionate about working for, periodically check their company websites to see if there's some jobs on there that they're not posting elsewhere. Sometimes the only way to find them is to actually go to the company site. Charity Village, I skipped over that one. Charity Village is a really, really good site for nonprofits, for nonprofit organizations. So Charity Village is only nonprofit jobs. Also a really, really good resource for volunteering. If you're looking for volunteer opportunities, Charity Village has a lot of those. Find a lot of government and nonprofit jobs on that website if that's something you're interested in all different types of industries. And then depending on the industry that you are in, there are some niche industry job boards. So for example, there's one for HR jobs called Hire Authority. Angel List is a good one for tech jobs. There's even recently, there's been a big boom in remote job postings. So there's Remote OK. A lot of job boards look exclusively for remote jobs. So that's something to check out as well. I would recommend taking a screenshot of this slide just so you remember all of these job boards going forward, but y'all know the big ones. Indeed, LinkedIn, I find are the main two. I find there's quite a bit of overlap between some of the job smaller boards. If you're seeing them on the smaller boards, you're probably going to see them on LinkedIn and Indeed as well because those are the main go-tos. However, sometimes you get lucky, you find some on smaller job boards that aren't posted on those big ones, and then like I said, fewer people are seeing that posting, so there's going to be less competition. Glenn, any favorite job boards that you have? Either listed on
Uh,
here or not?
um, Gee, I love Google Googling jobs. I think you get incredible results when you do that way. Also LinkedIn. Yeah, like the thing is to find jobs where nobody else can find them. So finding niche job boards is great. It's going to take some digging. Um, like what another ninja move I do is in LinkedIn, I don't look at the job section on LinkedIn. I just type in jobs and all the jobs will come up. They might not like they might not be in the section of jobs in LinkedIn, but the company might put up jobs like, oh, I'm hiring for this position. And only people who follow that person will see that job unless it's reposted. So one thing I do is always Google or always in LinkedIn, I type in jobs or positions and all the positions will come up or all the postings and look on their postings, what people are posting and you'll find things there because people probably don't want to pay. So what they'll do is they'll do that, but it's a good move for you to find things. Another thing, I think Deloitte too. Deloitte doesn't really post, but on Deloitte itself. I don't think they post on LinkedIn or anything. All the other ones do, KPMG and all those do, but not necessarily Deloitte. And you can find a lot of great jobs there. They're not just an accounting firm, right?
Awesome. Thank you, Glenn, for your insights. Okay, so you're familiar with the main ones, LinkedIn and Glassdoor. Let's do a little bit of exploration on those to kind of deep dive into some of those job search sites and some of their features. Let's start off with LinkedIn because I do want to show you what Glenn was just talking about how you can find jobs on LinkedIn without necessarily using the job search function. However, I am going to start with that just so everybody's familiar with it. Just give me 1 second. I'm just going to bring up my LinkedIn and start sharing my screen. All right, so this is the main LinkedIn page. Starting to get some network connections. I think that those are people in the call right now. So thanks for connecting. I will definitely accept right after we're finished. I'm going to go to the first, let's explore the actual job portal on LinkedIn. So I'm going to click jobs. Mine, of course, right now is all web development jobs. Because as I said, that's my day job, helping people find jobs as web developers. But somebody said that they were interested in project management, so I'm going to go with that. You just go to the search box. You can search by either title, skill, or company. So let's start with job title. So let's just do project manager. And you can see that automatically it's going to search Canada-wide. If you want to filter it down a little bit lower, for example, you could go here and do Toronto, Ontario. However, honestly, I like to keep it at Canada because I find that right now in post-pandemic times, there's still a lot of remote positions out there, so it doesn't really matter the position itself. So for example, you can see some here. The first ones that are coming up are hybrid jobs. This one's on site, but I can actually filter that. LinkedIn has lots of great filters. So I'm going to filter this for, let's say I only want remote project management jobs.
Yeah, there's a lot, just that alone, 4,000 jobs.
Yeah. I really like to filter by date posted. So typically I'm only going to search jobs that are posted in the past month. Sometimes hiring managers forget to delete a job. So if it's posted more than 30 days ago, I wouldn't spend too much energy applying to that job. Just because there is a good chance that it's probably filled by that point. Sometimes, like I said, people just forget to take it down. It happens on Indeed as well. You can filter by experience level, so maybe you're looking for only internship and entry level. You can see how this becomes a little bit less overwhelming. We've gone from 4,000 jobs to 518 jobs. Lots and lots of filters here. You can actually filter by company. If there's a specific company that you're interested in working for, you can filter by full-time contract, internship. Make use of the filters because like I said, if I go back and if I clear all these filters, if I click reset, 31,846 jobs for project managers in Canada. That's very overwhelming to think about and very overwhelming to search through all of these pages. So definitely make use of filters. Another thing I'm going to show you, so we tried to search by job title. Now let's search by skill. So let's say you're a web developer who knows JavaScript and you're going to search by skill. So let's just use the search box and type in JavaScript in Canada. Now you can see basically any job that has JavaScript in the description is coming up. We've got 10,481 results. So again, I would recommend filtering it down. But this is a good, really, really good tool to be using if different companies use different job titles. So for example, for web developer specifically, you could be looking for web developer, email developer, software engineer, website designer. So like depending on the company, there's different job titles. So sometimes searching by skill instead of job title specifically is going to unlock a lot more jobs. So for example, I typed in JavaScript, we have web developer, front-end developer, senior back-end developer, technical architect. Like technical architect, for example, there's no way that job would have come up if I just typed in web developer because the job title is completely different. So sometimes you can unlock different jobs by searching by skill instead of by job title. And then another one, we can search by company. Let's do Deloitte because that's one that Glenn just mentioned is at the top of my mind. If you search specifically by company, sometimes the jobs that was now only showing me Deloitte jobs in Canada. And again, let's say I'm looking for Deloitte jobs in Toronto, I can filter that down a little bit more.
Yeah, they
Okay.
always have so many jobs at Deloitte. I don't
Yes.
know. If you want a job, look at Deloitte.
Yeah. Lots and lots of jobs there. They're always hiring as well. We also have this person, my one connection that works there is actually Yuhan's a Devon employee. He's a workshop facilitator at Devon and he works at Deloitte. So we do have an internal connection there, which might be helpful for some of you. Okay, that's the job board. That's exploring the filters. Let's do a little bit of what Glenn was talking about. So I'm going to go back to my main page on LinkedIn. And instead of going to jobs and searching through the job board, I'm just going to go to the search box. And let's do something like project manager hiring. And if I just go to posts, this is what Glenn was talking about, where sometimes people will reshare that they're hiring for a project management job. So for example, if I'm gonna do date posted, let's just do again in the past month, just so we don't get like literally thousands and thousands of jobs. Not a lot of them are coming up. Maybe project management was too broad of a term to use. But actually, let me put hiring in quotations to see if that helps us filter it down a little bit. But essentially what Glenn was talking about is that sometimes when companies are hiring for a role, they'll share the job posting here and say, hey, we're currently hiring for this role. And then it'll come up here. I did this very recently. The company I'm working at right now is hiring for a career success specialist. So I reshared the role. So if you search career success specialist hiring in LinkedIn, it's going to come up. Here's one that came up. This person says they're hiring now for a clinical data associate.
Yeah, and it's probably not even listed in the section on jobs, which is a real great ninja move, let me tell you.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that. The ninja move. That's a good phrase for it. And then you also have like a connect at the company as well. Like, you know, that whoever the person posted it is probably has some sort of influence in the hiring process. You can reach out to them directly. Okay, any questions about LinkedIn and how we can use it specifically to find a job? Also, groups are a really, really good idea as well. I'm sure you've noticed that sometimes on LinkedIn, people have their messaging locked, so you can't actually connect with them unless you can't actually message them unless you're already connected with them. If you're part of the same group as them on LinkedIn, you can message them for free. So that's a sneaky tool. So for example, let's stick with project management. Let's just do project management and go to groups. Yep, I did mean 14,000 results for project management groups on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
Wild.
I did something way back in 2009. I created a group myself called Nonprofit Professionals Toronto. Type that in, Kaylee. I
Yeah.
created that group because I wanted to talk with everybody in Toronto in the nonprofit industry, get a job. So I created its own group. Nonprofit Professionals Toronto, maybe hyphen between nonprofit.
Yeah, it's not coming out. But if you do join, for example, if I joined this Toronto Fashion Incubator group, I would immediately have messaging access to all 799 members of that group, even if I'm not connected with them. We have something in common. We're part of the group, so LinkedIn is going to let me message them.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I have 13,000 members, so I'm surprised he's not coming up.
Interesting.
Yeah, and probably no hyphen at all. Just don't separate them, see what happens.
Yeah.
That's weird. Nonprofit Professionals Toronto. Yeah, that's what it's called.
I don't know.
Yeah, strange. Yeah, I have lots of members. But yeah, join a group and then I did that. Now I can talk to any 13,000 members. So I
Yeah.
get a job very easily.
Awesome. Okay. So that's LinkedIn. Let's move over to Indeed quickly. Very, very similar though. Big difference with Indeed is again, you can search job titles, keywords, or company, very similar to LinkedIn. A big difference with Indeed is you can actually search by the city, or you can just type in remote. So if you're only interested in remote jobs, you can put remote in the search function. If you do that on LinkedIn, if you just put remote, it automatically just resets to Canada wide, and you have to like filter it through remote. But on Indeed, you can actually just type in remote positions and put your position as remotes. What else? Somebody said that they're interested in business management. So let's do a business job. And this might be a good example of more of a skills-based search instead of a specific job title-based search, because so many jobs that you can get with a business management degree. So even if you just type in business management as more of a skill, it's going to give me a whole plethora of jobs that involve business management of some type. Again, with LinkedIn, I typically go to with Indeed, I typically go to last 14 days. LinkedIn doesn't have that option. It only has like 7 days, 24 hours, and 30 days. But with Indeed, I like to do 14 days. Again, that's dropping us down from 800 jobs to 310 jobs, which is a little bit less overwhelming. You can filter by industry. So let's say you're interested in working as a business role, but only in the travel industry. You can actually filter by that. And then it's going to give me jobs that are only travel based. So again, play around with the filters on both Indeed and on LinkedIn. Another good feature of Indeed is actually you can click the company and it's going to take you to a company review page where anonymous current and former employees can talk about what it's like to work at that company. Sometimes they share salary insights. So it looks like Stryker is a pretty good company to work for. They've got almost 2,000 reviews and 3.8 stars out of 5, which is pretty good. Let's say you want to apply to the role, but there's no salary listed in the job description. You don't know if it's worth your time. You can go to the salary page and see if, for example, somebody said that they are a sales manager at this job and they make around $85,000. So it's not like set in stone, but it kind of gives you a good ballpark idea of what the salary might be. Because I know that's a pet peeve for a lot of people when salary is not listed in the job description. I know it's irritating. Indeed, this is a really, really good page. Glassdoor has a page like this too. Same thing, if you're interested in a specific company, you can actually just search the company on Indeed, come to their page, and you can see that there's a job tab. So any jobs that are posted on Indeed for this company is going to come up there. And one more thing, let's hop over to Google and talk about the Google job board. So let's do project manager jobs, Toronto. You can see that Google actually has a job board itself, which is a really, really good tool to use. Like I said, it pulls from a variety of different job boards. Most of the ones coming up right now are LinkedIn, but it does pull sometimes from other job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor. So it's kind of like a master job board in itself that's pulling from a lot of different resources. It can be a really, really good tool. Again, lots of filters that you can use to narrow down the search results. And honestly, another thing that you can just do is type in project management jobs Toronto and just scroll through. And sometimes it'll take you to actually specific websites that are hiring for a project manager. Play around with the search functions as well. And sometimes it'll come up with a company that's actually hiring for a project manager job, and it'll take you directly to the company website job board instead of you having to sort through job boards. So Google is an underutilized tool in the job search, I would say. It's a very, very good one. Glenn, anything to add before I go back to the slides?
No, I think you did a great job. I mean, it's exactly, everything I would say. I mean, really, it's nothing. Like you say, you got to find those, one place too I recommend is go to associations. Like maybe there's an association for project management of Canada or something like that. that's always a good place to go, or you work for, like, if you have an association tied with your profession, always go there because they'll have postings there, right? And that's another way because I don't know if a lot of people will be looking at that website. They're just gonna go to LinkedIn, all those things. So see if you can find it that way too. I don't know if Reddit posts any positions. Sometimes you'll find Reddit has some stuff. Um, and yeah, I'm thinking of other places, but yeah, it's kind of these are the ways to go typically, but try to find if you know any associations that are tied to your profession, try to see if you can go there. Or even if you have something in a regional, like Association for Projects Management in Kingston or something like that, you'll be surprised what positions are there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Glenn. One more thing I wanted to add that I forgot to share about LinkedIn. If I go to, let's just do the first job that comes up. This is something that concerns a lot of people when they're coming on LinkedIn. Let me find one with a lot of applicants in it. Let's do this one. Let's do project manager at Interact. This was posted over a week ago. You can see that there's over 200 applicants for this role. And this scares a lot of people when they see this because they think like, oh, 200 people have already applied. There's no way that I'm gonna get this role. But let me tell you a little bit of a secret of how LinkedIn actually counts this number. So they're not actually counting applications. LinkedIn has absolutely zero idea how many people actually applied to this role. All they're counting is clicks. So they're counting how many people clicked this apply button. You can see that it's going to automatically take me to a third-party website. It's going to take me to the Interact website. And LinkedIn is going to count that as an application because I clicked on the apply button. You can see sometimes it asks, did you apply? Let us know, in which case you can say, no, I didn't apply, or yes, I did. But one, it doesn't always give you that message, or two, people just don't always click it. For example, if I just go to a different title or a different job right now, this LinkedIn is going to count me as applying to this job. So now it's saying 410 applicants, and it's counting me as one of those applicants, even though I absolutely did not apply to that role. All I did was click the apply button. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes this number scares people, but most of the time this number is very inflated. So for every 100 applicants who apply to the job, probably upwards of 30 of them aren't qualified for the position or didn't tailor their resume to filter in the keywords from the job posting, so they're going to get screened out from the ATS. Maybe another 20 of them just clicked apply but didn't actually follow through with the application, but LinkedIn is counting that as an apply. So this number is very inflated. Don't let this scare you. Apply anyway. You never know. Okay? And when we're talking about keywords to plug in for the ATS, this is where you're going to want to read the job description. And I actually really like to use a word cloud. If you go on Google and type in word cloud, there's a bunch of free ones out there. You can copy and paste the job description, post it into the word cloud, and then the more times a job shows up in the word, or the bigger the job or the word is in the word cloud, the more times it shows up in the job posting. So the biggest words in the word cloud are the jobs that you're going to want to include in your resume and in your cover letter somewhere, because you can bet that those are words that the ATS is going to be looking for. All right. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna hop back to the PowerPoint. Just gotta find it with my billion tabs that are open. And please feel free. I have my chat open. I've got 2 monitors. I've got the chat open on one of them. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to let us know in the chat box.
Does your resume match job descriptions? Oh, this is a good question. We were talking about that earlier, Kayla. Is there a tool that matched your resume with job descriptions? And we were talking about earlier, do we know, I hope we all know about ChatGPT right now. So what you can do is you can take the job description that you see, put it in ChatGPT and say, write me 10 bullets that that would go in a resume based on this job description. You paste in job description, and it will write you 10 or whatever you put in bullets based on that job description. So that would be perfect. But make sure they match, of course, what you've done, right?
Yeah, ChatGPT, really, really good tool, really easy tool. Like Glenn was saying, just copy and paste into ChatGPT and say, pull out the keywords in this job description, or write me 10 bullet points that match this job description, something like that. Another tool that I really like to use is called JobScan. It's basically an ATS simulator, really, really good one, but also Devant has its own ATS simulator on the Devant website. Really, really good tool. It scans your resume for you. You can copy, I think you can copy a specific job description into the ATS resume scanner, and it actually will go through it for you and let you know how well your job posting is, or sorry, how well your resume is matching the job posting. Glenn, I've got to share my screen, but someone's asking for links. Could you post the ChatGPT link?
I'm doing it.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is just a great tool for you. You will love it.
All right. We are now moving over to networking as our final section. We got about 15 minutes left, so we're still good on timing if you have any questions. Does anybody know what percentage of available positions are typically filled by someone that is in the hiring manager or recruiter's network? If you had to guess what percentage of jobs are filled through networking and through personal connections, what would you say? Pretty big number. It might be higher than you expect. 70%, 50%, 90%, 80%. Ooh, we're close. It's about 85% of available positions are filled by somebody in the hiring manager or the recruiter's network. By network, we mean basically somebody that either the hiring manager directly knows or somebody that's been referred to the hiring manager by somebody the hiring manager knows. So for example, I know a lot of companies, the company, like I said, the company I'm working at is currently hiring for a role that's the exact same as mine. And you can bet that management is going to trust my opinion on who I refer to them, on who I think is going to be a good fit to work at this company. So maybe I'm going to refer somebody that my manager doesn't directly know, but because I've referred them and my manager knows me, that person now becomes part of my manager's network. And it has, I would say, a much greater chance of getting the role because they have somebody vouching for them or they have somebody referring them for the role. So this is why networking is so important, especially in the Canadian labor market. So many roles are filled through networking and just through personal connections that you have at the company. So networking is a crucial part of your job search in Canada, very important in a Canadian context. There are many ways you can network. Devant has a workshop that's just entirely based on networking that tells you how to build your network, different strategies to build your network. The two main ones are, of course, LinkedIn, which we all know. Whenever you're applying to a job, I would actually recommend that you go to the company page on LinkedIn, find somebody who works at that company in a similar role that you're applying for, and connect with them to let them know that you've applied for the job and see if they have any insights, if they're able to make a referral for you. Another strategy is an informational interview. I'm a huge fan of informational interviews. I actually did one today at lunch with somebody who's interested in working at Juno, and they asked if I had just like 15 minutes to chat with them about the role. Whenever I am considering applying for a company or if I want to build my network, I will go on LinkedIn. I'll find somebody in a similar role as me or who works at a company that I really want to work for. I'll connect with them on LinkedIn and then I'll politely ask them for an informational interview. These are sometimes also called just a coffee chat. Pre-COVID, we called them coffee chats because we would actually like go for coffee and physically be in the same room together. But now most of the time they just take place over Zoom or over video chat. The one I had at lunch today just took place over video chats. And it's basically just to talk to somebody who is already established in either the field that you're hoping to get into or already works at the company you're hoping to work at. It's not an interview, it's an informational interview. So it's much more informal than your traditional interview. You're not hoping to get a job out of it immediately. Long term, it might lead to a job because that person is now in your network and they might refer you and you might be able to get a job longer term. But short term, all you're trying to do is build your network and you're just trying to learn more about the position and learn more about the company. So informational interviews, really, really good way. Just reach out to somebody that you're interested in on LinkedIn, politely ask them if they have 15 to 20 minutes to chat with you about your job or about their job, about the company that they work for. If you're a newcomer to Canada, you might want to reach out to somebody who's also a newcomer to Canada. If you're new in project management, you might want to reach out to somebody who's been in project management for over 5 years, like somebody who's established in the industry, and see if they have any advice for somebody who's just starting off. So informational interviews, coffee chats, really, really good strategy for building your network. And the person might not be hiring immediately, but I've had it in the past. One of my previous jobs, not the one I'm at now, but one of my previous jobs, I did an informational interview with somebody who worked at that company. I told them that I was really interested in working there. They weren't currently hiring, but I stayed in touch with that person. And then like 5 or 6 months later, I got an email from them saying, hey, I don't know what you're up to these days, but I remember when we met 5 months ago, you told me that you were interested in working here. We just opened up a job posting. Here it is. And then I was able to apply to that, and that person could act as a reference for me because they knew me and they could vouch for me. And I ended up getting that job. Okay. So let's recap really, really quickly before I go back to the chat because I know there are some questions in here. But we still got 10 minutes left. We're good on time. So if you have any questions about anything job search related in Canada, please feel free to pop them in the chat. We've still got 10 minutes to answer them. But let's recap really quickly. So we've reviewed the hiring process in Canada. We've reviewed the steps, how it typically goes. We've talked about some popular job boards in Canada and how to use them strategically by using filters and by searching for keywords and skills. And we've talked about the importance of networking and given you some 2 important strategies to network. But like I said, Devant has another workshop that is entirely based on building your network. So if networking is something that you're curious about how to do in a Canadian context, I definitely recommend that workshop. Also wanted to let you know quickly about Devant's one-to-one career coaching. This is a shameless plug. You can book either with Glenn or myself or any other of Devant's amazing coaches. It is usually $149. However, right now we're offering it for $95. It's a one-time fee. You get to talk one-on-one with one of Devant's career coaches, and you get to choose that person. So we all have little bios on the Devant website. We all have different hours that we work. So you're definitely going to find somebody that interests you. It's really good if you're having a hard time getting a job or if you want personalized feedback on your resume, your job search strategy, if you want a personalized LinkedIn review. So you can select what career coach you would like to work with, and then you will meet with them on Zoom and you can ask them whatever you would like for a whole hour. Okay. We also have a really, really good tool on Devant called Devant's Get Hired Masterclass. Really, really good, excellent tool. I was actually involved in the creation of this tool, so I can vouch for the content in it. If you log into the career support portal on devant.ca, you can go through the course on your own pace. It's a self-led course. And then you're actually going to be eligible to be featured in Devant's Talent Spotlight. So this is something that Devant shares with employers who are looking to hire. So just by completing the masterclass for free, you're put into this talent spotlight that employers are able to reference when they're looking for somebody. And you'll be introduced on LinkedIn, on the Devant website, and when Devant regularly hosts its Get Hired at Home Expo, you'll also be listed in the talent spotlight there. So something I would really recommend for selfish reasons for getting yourself in the talent spotlight, but also a lot of really, really great content there about how to get a job in Canada throughout the masterclass. And I will link that in just 2 seconds. Now it is time for question and answer. So I'm gonna actually remind you very quickly of some upcoming live events. Definitely would recommend going to the monthly virtual social, the Devon Career Cafe. I think it runs usually mid-month, every month. So like the middle Wednesday of the month is typically when the Devon Career Cafe happens. It's not like a formal workshop like the one tonight. It's really just a chance to network, to chat with other newcomers, to make connections. And also Devon career coaches are always there as well, so you can ask them questions in that. On Wednesday, February 22nd, we have the LinkedIn networking best practices. On March 1st, we have an expert panel for careers in project management. For those project management people, definitely attend this panel. And on March 8th, we have the Perfecting Your LinkedIn Profile. I think I'm actually doing that one. I think I'm
I think I'm
posting.
too, actually. Me and you.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. You'll see Glenn and me on March 8th for the Perfecting Your LinkedIn Profile workshop. Okay, Q&A. While you're putting your questions in the chat, I'm gonna go pull the links of all the things that I was just talking about. Glenn, if you don't mind, somebody posted in the chat, how do you feel about recruitment agencies and if we should use them?
Oh, okay. How do I feel about recruitment agencies? Um, I mean, it's a different way to go. What I find is it's not I wouldn't say it's the easiest way to get a job. Um, I would say that you have to go through many stages, not like a lot of the going to the company, getting hiring that way. I would say it's something that you can definitely utilize, especially if it's for a company you want to work for and they only use recruitment agencies. It's gonna be the way you're gonna have to go, unfortunately. But this is where you just have a great profile, a great resume and everything, and you can answer all the questions, you know everything about the company and the role. Unfortunately, this is the way things are, recruitment agencies. No, you don't have to pay or anything. So if anybody ever asked you for money, don't ever pay. Usually the company pays them to hire you. So you never pay for getting a job and don't ever feel like you have to pay. Um, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Of course, like I say, there's many stages and stuff, and it's a lot more thorough. Um, so much to the point sometimes it gets frustrating. But don't let that get you down. They're just doing their job and making sure they get the right person for the organization that put the job ad up. So I've applied to some agents. I've never gotten a job through a recruiter. So so I don't know. Yeah, it works. I'm sure they hire people all the time, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a good strategy if you are specifically hoping to get in with a specific company. So for example, sorry, going back to my web developer experience and helping web devs get jobs, I know that very big companies like BMO Bank, for example, TELUS, TD, all of these companies hire through recruiters.
Yeah.
And sometimes companies exclusively hire from recruiters. So if you're really interested in working for a specific big company, a recruiter might be the way to go. Like Glenn was saying, never pay for a recruitment service. If the recruiter is trying to make you pay them, don't do it. The companies pay them. They're recruiting for BMO, and BMO can 100% afford to pay the recruiter. So please do not feel the need to pay them. Another nice thing about recruiters that can be nice is typically the companies that are using recruiters are the companies who can afford to pay big bucks for people that they hire. So sometimes you can get pretty good, cushy paid jobs through a recruiter, but recruiters tend to be very picky about who they take on because they want to make sure that they're filling all of the requests. So for example, if the job posting says they need somebody with 5 years experience and you come and you say, I have 3 years of experience, but I'm really confident that I could do this job, sometimes the recruiter will just be like, no, sorry, my client is asking for 5 years, so I can't take you on. So sometimes they're very, very picky.
Yeah, and the recruitment process takes longer than it typically would for a normal company. Say if I applied to my job, um, I'd go in, do one interview, but if you reply to a recruiter, it might take 3 or 4 interviews to get the same job. So be aware of that. It's not just go in and do the one job and you're in. Kind of there's a lot filtering and a lot going on.
Right. It's almost 8 o'clock. Well, it's almost 8 o'clock for us. It's not 8 o'clock for Glenn, it's later.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for joining us, everybody. I just popped the links in the chat for the Devant coaching. So the first link I popped in is the link where you can book one-on-one with a Devant career coach of your choice. The second link I popped in is for the Devant portal that you can use. That's where you can find the Devant Masterclass as well as the Devant resume scanner. And I already popped in our LinkedIns, but I will put them in one more time just in case you have not connected with us yet. But I see my requests are starting to come in and some people are starting to message me. So please connect with us. If we did not get a chance to answer your question this evening, please feel free to message us on LinkedIn and we will get back to you. And hopefully we will see you at an event in the future. Thank you, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful evening.